The Strait of Malacca, Asia's maritime lifeline. The Strait of Malacca is one of the world's most strategically vital maritime choke points, lying between the Malay Peninsula to the northeast and the Indonesian island of Sumatra to the southwest. Stretching approximately 930 kilometers, it connects the Indian Ocean to the South China Sea and the wider Pacific Ocean, serving as the shortest and most economical sea route between major Asian powers and the oil-rich Middle East and Africa. Its narrowest point is just 2.7 kilometers wide, making it particularly vulnerable to congestion, accidents, and geopolitical manipulation. This ancient passageway has been a bustling trade route for centuries. As early as the 7th century, the Srivijaya Empire controlled and profited from the traffic flowing through it. Later, the Portuguese, Dutch, and British empires fortified cities like Malacca and Singapore to dominate trade in this corridor. By the 19th century, Singapore had become a cornerstone of British imperial naval strategy, precisely because of its access to this strait. Even today, the historical legacy of the strait as a center of global trade continues uninterrupted. In the 21st century, the Strait of Malacca sees over 100,000 ships pass annually, carrying roughly 40% of global trade. It also handles around 25% of the world's oil shipments, including more than 80% of China's imported oil, as well as a substantial portion of Japan's and South Korea's energy needs. The shipping routes that run through this narrow strait carry essential raw materials, finished goods, natural gas, crude oil, and strategic cargoes that fuel East Asia's economic engine. For countries like China, India, Japan, and South Korea, it's not just a strait, it's a lifeline. Yet, this dependence brings vulnerabilities. One of the most pressing strategic concerns in global geopolitics is the Malacca dilemma, a term coined by Chinese officials to describe China's over-reliance on the strait for oil and trade. In times of war or international crisis, a blockade or disruption here could cripple China's economy. To reduce this risk, China has invested in alternate routes, including the China-Myanmar oil and gas pipeline connecting the Kyaukphyu port in Myanmar to Yunnan province, and developed deep-water ports in Pakistan, Gwadar, and Sri Lanka, Hambantota, under its Belt and Road Initiative. Despite these efforts, the Strait of Malacca remains irreplaceable for its speed and cost efficiency. India, too, is keenly aware of the strait's significance. Positioned near its western entrance are the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, giving India a natural surveillance advantage. Indian naval forces regularly conduct exercises in the region, collaborating with partners like Indonesia, Singapore, and Japan to ensure maritime security and readiness. For India, the strait is both a trade gateway and a strategic choke point that could be leveraged in a crisis. The United States, aiming to preserve freedom of navigation and balance China's rise, maintains a strong naval presence in the Indo-Pacific. Regular freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, by the US Navy and its allies reinforce the message that international sea lanes like the Strait of Malacca must remain open and unmilitarized. Countries like Australia, Japan, and even European powers like the UK and France have shown renewed interest in this region's security architecture. But the Strait of Malacca isn't just vulnerable to state conflict. It also faces non-traditional threats like piracy, terrorism, and environmental hazards. In the early 2000s, it was among the most pirate-infested waters in the world. Attacks, especially near Indonesia's Riau archipelago, threatened the safe movement of goods. In response, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and later Thailand initiated joint patrols, aerial surveillance, like the Eyes in the Sky program, and intelligence sharing under the Malacca Strait Patrols, MSP. These efforts significantly reduced piracy incidents and strengthened regional cooperation. Another looming threat is the risk of maritime terrorism. With the strait's narrowness and heavy traffic, even a single hijacked oil tanker or an intentional blockage could create massive ripple effects across global markets. Furthermore, the environmental stakes are high. An oil spill or shipwreck could devastate marine biodiversity and coastal economies across Southeast Asia. Recognizing the strait's vulnerabilities, countries have proposed alternatives. One such idea is the construction of the Kra Canal across southern Thailand, which would allow vessels to bypass the Strait of Malacca altogether. While the canal could revolutionize shipping routes, it faces significant financial, environmental, and political challenges. Some speculate China would be willing to fund the canal under its BRI, but concerns about Thai sovereignty ecological impact and regional instability have stalled the project. Similarly, Indonesia is promoting other straits like Sunda and Lombok as backups, although they are longer and less economically viable. Despite these alternatives, the Strait of Malacca remains irreplaceable. Its strategic location, proximity to major ports like Singapore, Port Klang and Belawan, and established maritime infrastructure make it the undisputed center of maritime Asia. The future of the strait lies not just in economic calculation, but in diplomatic coordination, sustainable development, and joint naval preparedness. To conclude, the Strait of Malacca is much more than a stretch of water. It is the pulse of Asian commerce, the gateway of intercontinental trade, and a theater of global power competition. Its importance will only grow as the world becomes more interconnected and dependent on maritime supply chains. In securing the Strait of Malacca, we secure the foundation of the 21st century global economy.